Let's go.
Drum roll, please.
Hello there. Welcome into Fantasy Football UK. It's me, Jimmy, and we've got Craig here vaping away. Craig, how are you today?
What up? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, my friends. Let's get into some tight ends today. You know, I do love me some tight ends.
And I love getting into them. Lovely, fantastic. But obviously, before we get into that, we've got our news. What's this?
News team, assemble!
I like it. I've got a new drop.
Right.
Yeah, a bit of fun. It's something to do, isn't it? So, don't know about copyright.
What's new in the world of the NFL, Jim?
Well, what isn't new? Obviously, veterans returned to camp yesterday, which was very good. Mainly for the first 3 days of testing and whatnot for the COVID. But one important returner was Dalvin Cook. I was reading up on that. Obviously, there was the worry about his holdout if he was going to not show up to camp because he said Zimmer said he was going to, but then the agent came out and said they weren't, and they were, and then they weren't. But he did show up. But he apparently he originally described the contract as a reasonable contract. Reports, according to CBS, is that he wanted to be the best paid running back in the league, which means he wanted a contract worth more than Christian McCaffrey's $16 million a year. But apparently he's willing to settle for $15 million a year. So
well, the thing with running back contracts, it's the old analytics thing of you don't pay a running back because it's a complete waste of money, and I completely agree. Just draft a rookie, get 5 years out of them, draft another one. Why bother? Like literally, why bother paying a running back? It's the simplest skill set to pick up. It's just ability. It's running, and after 5 years of use, you're not really that good anymore.
yeah, that's why I was a bit surprised to see Derrick Henry. He signed his contract for an extra 4 years, but only for $12.5 million. Only.
Oh yeah, that's the thing though. If you can work it within your cap, pay them. But if it's going to affect paying other people, don't pay them. Like if you've got cap room, pay them. Like who cares? I'm never against people getting paid. I'm just saying it's one of the weakest positions to pay if you're going to.
Mainly because of injuries, and Dalvin Cook is a prime example of that. He's never played a 16-game season, whereas Christian McCaffrey, I think, hasn't failed to play a 16-game season. So pay McCaffrey. I don't think Dalvin Cook is. Well, anyway.
Just watch McCaffrey get injured this season.
Yeah, I know. On that note, Justin Jefferson is on the COVID list. It doesn't necessarily mean he's got COVID. It just means that he might have been in contact with someone. But the Vikings rookie, Justin Jefferson's on the COVID list, as is Keyshawn Vaughn over at Buccaneers.
That's interesting because they're going to have different designations based on whether you've had a positive test or whether you've just come in contact. Like,
yeah.
So if you come in contact, you've got like 2 days where you're ineligible while you get your test result or something.
Yeah, and they've got to go home and take a test as well or something. It's a bit strange.
You have to have like two clear tests in a row or something. I see Bill Belichick sending out gift baskets laced with COVID to all of his opponents.
Well, apparently he might have sent some to his own team. I mean, the Pats.
That's why they're holding out, because they know what Bill's plan is.
But yeah, they've as part of the CBA for this year, they've got the opt-out clause. There have been quite some, maybe not hugely fantasy impactful players, but certainly
they
from
could have an effect.
Yeah, the Pats D. I mean, Patrick Chung and Dante Hightower, they both declared themselves out.
it could actually work well for the Pats fantasy because if their defense is weaker, they're going to have to throw it more.
Yeah,
Going to have to be a bit more dynamic on offense. Won't just
I'm just looking forward to someone who doesn't pay attention picking up the Pats D because they were so good last year, and them not being so good. We've also got Marquise Goodwin, who's opted out. Carson Wentz just can't catch a break, man. Like his entire receiver core last season was out, and then they bring in Marquise Goodwin and declares himself out. As has Devin Funchess, just been traded to the Packers. So Aaron Rodgers got a number 2 receiver for about 3 weeks of the off season, and then Devin Funchess is gone as well. But on the good news side of things, it's been a good news week. Alex Smith, after his fucking horrific leg injury, has been cleared for football-related activity. Did you see the documentary?
I did not, but I saw it when it happened. I saw it when it happened in the game. Like that was,
yeah.
And I didn't think he'd ever play football again. So all the best.
Absolutely, there was worry about him losing his leg, and then worry about him losing his life, because he was in a Washington hospital and he got this horrific infection at the same time as Darius Geist was in a Washington hospital and got a horrific infection in his leg. So I don't know if there was just one infected scalpel making its way around or what, but
so Washington, not a great place to play football for many reasons.
Yes,
the Washington football team.
They are.
The name was probably not the worst thing in their history. I'd say being the last team to integrate and being forced to do it by the president in like the 60s or 70s or whatever it was would probably be a bit worse than their slightly racist name. But yeah, they're not the best franchise, and they're also run very badly.
Yeah, well, maybe Ron Rivera can turn that round. Who knows?
Riverboat Ron, or is it just a sinking ship?
Let's see what he's able to do without Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton. It'll be interesting. But Tua has said he's ready to go, so the Miami quarterback battle is on. I'm expecting Fitzpatrick to start the season, but we hopefully might see Tua at some point. Ronald Jones, we mentioned Keyshawn Vaughn, but Ronald Jones is getting a lot of love at the moment. He's been living with his trainer, who's been telling him not to eat Big Macs and sit on his arse all day. And apparently he's lost fat and put on weight. Imagine that.
That's what we like to hear.
Which is what we were discussing beforehand.
It's pretty easy to lose weight and be in really good shape when you have enough money to have someone live with you and just be like, "Oi, fatty, don't get that out of the fridge."
But I think Ronald Jones could be an interesting pick this season. He's got Gronk up front blocking for him. He's got Brady coming in.
They've upgraded their offensive line.
Yeah.
And because you got to remember, Brady has never been known as a gunslinger. He's a game manager. And what's a game manager's best friend? Running backs.
Yeah, and he's got an ADP of 705 in 12-team leagues. So 89th overall. Give me that all day. Yeah. And then something I know you're going to be impassioned. Actually, let's save that to last. But Jamal Adams traded to the Seahawks for everything.
Oh, yeah. The Jets got a good haul for Jamal Adams. I think it was a good move probably for both teams because it's like people are the Seahawks are pretty wild with their draft picks anyway. So like they're probably better off having a player.
I think it shows that they're definitely in a win now situation. Going for that.
I think when you got Russell Wilson, you're always in a win now. Like the guy's a playmaker. Good. The guy's a playmaker. He scrambles. Like you think you've got him down or beat and magic and just gets him out of a hole.
Yeah. but I agree. They're also just giving Adam Gase's inevitable replacement some draft capital.
Oh yeah, I think that the Jets are going to be great in like a year, like next year after, with all these draft picks. They got
Yeah.
5 picks next year in the first 3 rounds next year.
Well, yeah, and 2 of them came from this trade.
2, yeah.
And then they've got another first-round pick in 2022 as well from this trade.
Mm.
It's quite a haul. And then something I know you're going to be impassioned about: Keenan Allen's ego coming out and saying he's the best receiver in the AFC West.
I would get the jersey out, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it seems like an outlandish claim initially, and then you kind of go, well, actually, the only
If he said,
if he said NFL, maybe there'd be question marks, but
yeah,
it's him versus Tyreek Hill.
I honestly think he could have said in AFC. I can't think of many other AFC receivers there. Can you? They're pretty much all NFC. Michael Thomas,
I mean,
Julio Jones, Kenny Golladay,
Chris Godwin, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore.
NFC. Like, I think I know which
Mike
league
Evans,
receivers I'd prefer to go for.
That's interesting. Yeah. But it's between him and Tyreek Hill, isn't it? It's certainly in the AFC West.
Oh wait, I just realised on the thing behind you it has all the AFC teams. Okay, Odell maybe. That's Odell is probably better than him. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it in the AFC, man. The AFC is pretty weak for receivers.
Yeah. AJ Green in his prime and DeAndre Hopkins when he was still there, but he's obviously not. But yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree. I like Keenan Allen. He's a great complete receiver. He can go deep if he needs to. He can be those short intermediate routes as long as his kidneys don't get lacerated. The guy's a beauty.
His route running is next to none. It's like, I think he's in like the 98th percentile of like routes run or something. I can't even remember what it is. The stats.
Ocho Cinco's a big lover of route running, and this is not related to Keenan Allen. But
let's talk about Ocho Cinco because
he's
an interesting guy.
He is, but he put out on his Instagram footage of him crying while watching Devontae Adams running routes. Just because apparently the routes were so beautiful, they were so perfect, they were so crisp, it just brought tears to his eyes, which is quite cute in a way. Bit weird. Anyway, the crux of the show, tight ends. Go on.
Before we go on to this, I'll go for one more random off point before we get into the show.
Well, I like this.
The new series of Last Chance U. I gotta say, I've watched. I think I've watched 5 episodes today. It's very good.
Okay.
I strongly recommend it. The coach is a bit less of a dick, and the storylines are a bit more. They get you in them feels. All right, it's good stuff. Hope to see them in the league one day.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of Last Chance U at all. It's just not something I've got around to.
It's quite good. I mean, I think QB1 is better, but that's the one that was just QBs, and it was like followed 3 of them. A lot more interesting because it was like in depth. Anyway, let's get on to the tight ends. My random Netflix plugging aside.
Talking of plugging, we might as well take this opportunity. We are obviously on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, Twitter, Instagram. I can't remember what all the handles are, but search for Fantasy Football UK and you will come up with us. Give us a subscribe, give us a listen, give us a review. Everything helps at this point. Yes, so tight ends. I am, as you know, working my way through my projections. I have not completed my projections. I need to make adjustments for target shares and things like that. But the top 2, I think everybody knows. We're all in the situation where it's just a matter of which one you're taking first. For me, it's Kelsey over Kittle. I don't know how you feel about that. Yeah.
I'm not offended by that decision.
I mean, I love Kittle. He's cool as fuck. But
I also like Hill. He's a cool guy because he said that Hawkinson was a better version of him. So I appreciate his honesty.
talking with, I mean, Kittle's apparently not particularly close on an extension, but has said he will not be holding out. I'm just looking at the Fantasy Pros consensus projections. Turns out mine isn't that outlandish. I mean, as I say, I do need to do some tweaking, but mine currently has Zach Ertz in at 3.
I think Zach Ertz, if he's playing, he's got such a good floor. Like, he might not get a touchdown, but especially in PPR, he's getting 10 catches a game usually.
Yes, and especially given that they've got rid, or not got rid of, but I mean, Marquise Goodwin isn't playing.
They don't have any receivers.
They've got Jalen Reagor, the rookie.
Yeah.
They did have Marquise Goodwin, but he's gone.
Alshon Jeffrey will be back at some point, but on the pup. Deshaun Jackson is a deep threat. Those intermediate possible suspension for racism.
Oh yeah, that too. But those over the middle targets, it's just a matter of what percentage of those targets go to him and what percentage go to Dallas Goedert.
This is another one where I'm a bit against the consent. I think Dallas Goedert is a bit too high. I think if the Philly offense is explosive this year, then it's right. But I don't know. I've got a bad feeling about Philadelphia this year.
Well, Goddard has got a much better touchdown rate than Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz has a 6.67% touchdown rate. Dallas Goddard is 9.89. Yards per reception, Dallas Goddard 10.3. Zach Ertz 10.9. Career receptions are the bit where Zach Ertz vastly outshines him. It's because Dallas Goddard's his sample size is very small. It's 91 career receptions versus Zach Ertz 525. So, but then their catch rate is pretty much the same, 68.6 and 69.5. So fairly similar catch percentage. I mean, it's just whether or not they think Zach Ertz is getting on and want to move on from him, or what. But anyway, so I mean, consensus has Mark Andrews at 3. Yes, I think.
I'm happy either way of them. I kind of see them two in the same second tier.
Yeah, definitely, because Mark Andrews was amazing last season. But
the Ravens do. Everything they've said indicates they want to sort of throw it more.
Yeah, and they've got rid of Hayden Hurst, which is fantastic. My only concern is the consistency or lack of consistency. You look at him last season, over the course of his career. He's been a tight end 1 to 6, 33% of the time. He's been tight end 7 to 12, 26.7% of the time. But then the bit that terrifies me is that he's been tight end 25 plus 20% of the time. He played 15 games last season. That's 3 games where he was worse than tight end 25. You compare that to Kelsey.
I mean, you might want to look into the matchups in those weeks, perhaps. I don't know.
I had him on my team, and I can vouch for it. He just disappeared from time to time. It's just when...
I think it's because when the offense is running the ball so efficiently, like they're like one of the least volume they were one of the least volume passing offenses in the league. They ran it like an insane amount of time, and obviously Hollywood got a fair amount of targets as well, and so
Baltimore they had the least pass attempts in the league by 8. Tennessee had 448 attempts. Baltimore had 440.
So not exactly. Tennessee are also kind of known for just running the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Baltimore, Tennessee, Minnesota with 466 attempts, which I will talk about later. But I mean, Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, it's an interesting discussion. I think Zach Ertz, as you say, is the kind of floor play. I think Mark Andrews is the ceiling play. the consensus then has Zach, so Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews, Ertz, Waller.
Waller.
Um,
Yeah, I like Darren Waller. I think he's pretty solid. I mean, does have like weeks where he doesn't do great, but that's just because the offense last year was a bit dry.
Yeah, and you've got to think
They-
about his touchdown rate. His touchdown rate was so small for a guy with his usage.
He should get more touchdowns. I mean, he was getting good targets.
Yeah, if he just reverts to the mean of touchdown attempts, then he's going to do considerably better. His touchdown rate is, where is he? I lost it. Touchdown rate 4.63%. League average. Oh, bloody hell. I'm going to have to edit this bit out because I selected the wrong part of my table. League average 9.06. So he scores about half as often as you'd expect him to.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Yeah, so
he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns called back last season.
Yeah, I'm projecting him for 4 touchdowns. If his 4 touchdowns becomes 8 touchdowns, he's wide receiver 3 for me. So Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz. Darren Waller, Evan Engram. Again, not the picture of health, but an athletic freak, more of a big slot receiver, really. It just depends on how Daniel Jones chooses to utilize his targets, where they choose to go with them. 24% of Giants' targets went to tight end position, and if he can be there for 24% of Daniel Jones' attempts, with his athletic ability, that he's got to be easily a top 5.
Yep.
Jared Cook.
Here's where I differ.
Yeah.
Because of my not controversial, it's my very strong belief that Jared Cook is going to become the tight end 2 on the Saints. Probably behind Adam Troutman. Yeah. The Saints traded up to draft him. 3rd round, pick 105 from the University of Dayton. He's big. He's 253 pounds. Like,
I'm telling you right now, no. Not because I believe in Jared Cook, but because there's a historic trend of rookie tight ends not succeeding.
Oh no, I'm not saying for the whole season. I'm just saying by the end of the season, Jared Cook will not be the tight end 1.
Again, I doubt that. He's got 2 good yards per reception. He's got 13.2 yards per reception. He's got 7.26 touchdown percentage. I've got him for 81 targets, 49 receptions for 647 and 4, and that's using his career touchdown rate as opposed to last season's. Last season's touchdown rate was insane. Unrepeatable, unsustainable. Hunter Henry.
I like Hunter Henry because he's a pretty decent player. They tend to use the tight end quite a bit.
They do. This is my worry.
There's a new QB, so we don't know the exact what their sort of plan with him is going to be.
Exactly. So Hunter Henry has had an 18.2% market share when he's been on the field, which is huge. So, I mean, to put that over the course of a year, were the Chargers to play exactly the same as they played last year, that would give him 109 targets for 78 receptions, 983 yards, and 10 touchdowns, because his touchdown rate is 12.5%, which is...
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Now, whether or not that's sustainable, I don't know. I mean, we put that back down to 10%, and suddenly he's got 8 touchdowns instead of 10 touchdowns. So he's lost 12 points. I like Henry, and I'm just trying to work out if
you like him more than other people.
Well, that, but I mean, Tyrod Taylor, how is he going to use him? Is he going to try and use his legs? That's the thing, is he's either going to use his legs like he has done historically, or he's going to use him as a safety blanket and check down to him a lot, get him lots of those.
I think Keenan Allen is going to be a safety blanket because, Keenan Allen's a cuddly little teddy bear.
Now, tight end 6 last season is one I want to go into a bit more detail on. Austin Hooper. So he was tight end 6. He was tight end 6 in PPR, tight end 7 in standard. That was when
he's in Cleveland.
Now he's in Cleveland. He was receiving, during his time on the pitch, he was receiving 18.6% of the market share on a team with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Now he's going to Cleveland, which last year had 539 total attempts. Stefanski, who is now at Minnesota, obviously likes to run a run game more than a passing game. They only had 466 attempts. And Njoku
I do feel the tight ends in his system did score quite a bit of touchdowns. I'm pretty sure Rudolph and Thingy combined for quite a few touchdowns.
Irv Smith. No, yeah. They had pretty much the same market share. But
I thought they scored a few. At least they got targeted in the red zone fairly often.
Yeah, so Irv Smith Jr. had 36 receptions on 47 targets for 311 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Rudolph had, that's the wrong Kyle, there he is, 39 receptions, so 2 more receptions on 1 more target.
Rudolph just have one good game that I'm remembering.
Yeah, and 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns. That's interesting. So, yeah. So if they
does perform better at Christmas, does do.
But of course, if he brings that exact same, let's say they copy and paste the Minnesota offense into Cleveland, that means Austin Hooper is going to be on about a par with Njoku, presumably, because Njoku is still there. And then you've got Kareem Hunt in the backfield as well as Nick Chubb. You've got ODB on the outside. You've got Jarvis Landry. I know he came from a team with Julio and Calvin Ridley and Freeman, but he's also
not as good. I think as an overall unit, the Browns have got a pretty good offense. If their O-line is much improved as we think it will be, I think they should be a lot better.
It's also dependent on Baker's play. I mean, the Baker versus Matt Ryan. Baker has 7.4 yards per completion. Matt Ryan 7.5. Yards per attempt. Completion percentage. There's a 4% completion percentage differential, which is quite substantial, and then a 1.3% touchdown rate. And Matt Ryan doesn't exactly score a lot of touchdowns anyway. And then Baker is 1.3% lower than that at 3.4%. The league average is 4.9%.
I mean, I was thinking about this the other day, and I think Baker Mayfield's career I think it's going to mirror Matthew Stafford's in that I don't think they're ever going to win anything. And I think they're just going to constantly be like, oh, he's a good player, but they should be doing better, because he went to the Browns first overall for a reason. The Browns are a very bad team. Matt and Stafford went to the 0-16 Lions. They were awful before they drafted Matt Stafford. And then, he's grown as a player. He's got some weapons. I think Odell, Jarvis Landry could have big years.
It's all dependent on their health as well. I mean,
this season, who knows?
Both of them were injured at the end of last season. It would be interesting to see if they come back. But, the Browns only targeted tight end 13% of the time. So that would be quite a substantial step back for Austin Hooper. I don't see him being a top 10. Now, we move on to...
I can't believe you haven't said this name yet, if this isn't your next one.
You're going to say TJ Hawkinson, right?
No, I'm being realistic here.
Okay. Gronkowski, Tyler Higbee, Hayden Hurst, Noah Fant, Chris Herndon, Mike Gesicki, Jonnu Smith.
There you go. You got it. Mike Gesicki.
No. Grow up.
I like him. He's an athletic freak. And rookies love tight ends.
Yeah, but he doesn't. I was going to say he doesn't have a rookie right now, though.
Fitzpatrick also used him very well down the stretch.
He also used OJ Howard and Cameron Brate insanely well when he was in Tampa.
Yeah,
because I think it was actually Josh Rosen that used Gesicki towards the end.
Josh Rosen wasn't playing towards the end.
Was he not? Maybe.
Josh Rosen started the season, then got replaced.
Oh, is that how it was? That way around.
Replaced by the awesome Ryan Fitzpatrick. That is the reason the Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl. Because he took away that 1 seed, which is why the Chiefs won. So Pat Mahomes should buy Ryan Fitzpatrick like a house or something.
Or just buy Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's got the money for it.
Yeah, he's now part owner of the Royals.
Yeah, but
just shows you how cheap baseball teams are nowadays, doesn't it? Because he hasn't even got a penny of that $500 million yet.
That's true. It's all theoretical.
Like that's with like his rookie money he's bought it. Like,
and also it says part owner. It doesn't say which. Like how.
It's a minority share owner. It's like Shakira and the Dolphins, which is like. Less than like a percent. It's like a bunch of celebrities just put a bunch of money together, get a percent. Basically, it's just like a free season ticket.
Right, we're rambling again. So we got.
You can cut this all. Don't worry.
We got Kelsey 1, Kittle 2, Ertz 3, Andrews 4, Waller 5. We haven't. Well, we did. We just glossed over him. Ingram 6, Hunter Henry 7. We discussed Hooper, but I was dismissing him. But for the same reasons that I want to dismiss him, I want to bring up Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst was in the same draft class as Mark Andrews. He was drafted before him by the same team. And yes, Mark Andrews beat him out, but that's because Mark Andrews is fucking amazing.
He is a real man.
Hayden Hurst is going into the Atlanta Falcons, who, after the Sanu trade, have got some of the most vacated targets in the NFL. Where are we? I've lost it. 97 vacated targets between Sanu and Austin Hooper. I think Hayden Hurst, I've got him currently, as I say, I've got him coming in at 8. I like him.
Where are you going, like 100 targets?
I've got him with Hayden Hurst with 78 targets.
Oh, but quite a good catch rate then.
Yeah. Got it improving. He's coming to an offense with presumably about 600, 700 attempts compared to 400 attempts. He's going to get 6 or 7 touchdowns. I like him. Mainly, it says more about the rest of the league than it does about him. I've got Tyler Higbee. I hated the end of the season because everybody's bought into it and it was, this 5-game pace, and he's got years of showing that he can't do that.
I think his success is heavily based on Jared Goff. Is Jared Goff gonna step up and become much more, because their offense was pretty dead last year. It was,
and it's hugely different this year with no Todd Gurley, no Brandon Cooks. Yeah. It means, but they haven't brought in many targets. They've lost all those targets, but they haven't brought anyone in to pick them up. Which means Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, maybe Josh Reynolds, and then whatever running back they throw out there, whether it's Cam Akers or Darrell Henderson, either they're not going to pass at all and they're going to be like the Ravens but with a less athletic QB and they're going to lose a lot, or there's going to be a lot of targets to go around the few players left behind. I'm not saying it's necessarily a testament to Tyler Higbee, but it's a volume-based thing. It's like being like Sony Michel has value, not because he's particularly good, but because he will get the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're wrong about Sony Michel. I think he's quite good as a player. I mean, he was very good for the Patriots in the playoffs.
Okay, I don't hate Sony Michel. Don't get me wrong. But,
as someone who owned him, I watched him play. I watched quite a lot of his plays. Yeah, he was pretty good, and I think he could be. I don't know. He could be better. Brandon Bolden's good. That vulture.
Now, the Tennessee Titans, as we said, they don't run the ball a lot. They don't pass the ball a lot. They passed it the second least in the NFL. So 448 passing attempts with Ryan Tannehill at the helm. Delaney Walker took up 16.3% of those targets. He's not there anymore, which leads me to believe that Jonnu Smith, for me, could have a very, very nice season as a late round dude, as a guy that you can pick up late as fuck.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, he's got an ADP of the 16th round. Yeah. Which is very nice. That's a round where I'm going to be drafting a tight end more than likely.
Right.
Unless one of the top 3 or 4 fall into my lap. But I mean, Kittle's already gone in our league as a keeper. And Kelsey's going to be going in the probably second round.
Yeah.
Ertz and Waller in the 6th. Maybe, depending on my team setup, but not likely.
Jonnu Smith, he's 24 years old. My God.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. But no, I know I'm going against the whole young tight end breakout, but I think if he gets those targets, because they haven't brought in any other pass catchers, he gets those targets, then he's going to be again a volume-based win. And talking of this, I told you before I had a bit of a game, but it's not so much a game, but it's a weird little nugget. So Seattle, they throw the ball to their tight ends 21% of the time, which is a lot. That's a high proportion of targets to the tight end position. When they were on the pitch, Jacob Hollister received 17.2% of Russell Wilson's targets. Will Dissly received 14.9% of Russell Wilson's targets. They finished with 59 targets over 11 games and 27 targets over 6 games, respectively. If you... no, you can't do that. That's bollocks. I was going to say, if you could do it, you combine them together, extrapolate them up to 16 games. That's easily tight end 1, like by a long fucking way. And these guys are not tight end 1 material. Will Dissly is likely to start the season on the PUP list, which frees up 14.9% of targets. Greg Olsen is coming across to Seattle. He's going to eat up those targets. Yeah, he's 35 years old. Yeah, he's old. Yeah, he's probably a little bit broken. But if Russell Wilson's going to be targeting tight ends 21% of the time, a guy as good as Greg Olsen has been is bound to find success, isn't he?
I mean, I like Russell Wilson, but I mean, I'm more on the Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Chris Carson hype train than I am the Greg Olsen hype train, because I feel like that's more of a senior citizens bus. But
Yeah,
but I do think he'll probably in PPR. I think he'll probably be good. Like, I think he will get a lot of targets, but it will be for like 5 yards because he's not going to be running much further than that.
maybe not, but I just think it's interesting that in total there were 70, 80 targets going to them, and they played out of a combined 32 potential games, i.e. 16 games each. They only played 17, and there were 70, 80 targets between them. I agree, Tyler Lockett. I agree, DK Metcalf. I agree, Chris Carson. And don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting Greg Olsen to come up as a one. But between
as a late round steal, like last pick of the draft,
yeah,
he's a good, like, he'll probably be a bye week replacement.
Yeah, as we discussed, he's got an ADP of the 27th round.
Yeah, most trusts don't go on that long.
Yeah, we don't go on that long, and we've got a large roster.
Mm. Yeah,
I just for dart throw. I think I'm overestimating him because, as I said, my projections are very much in their preliminary stage. But I've got him quite high up, higher than I feel comfortable with. I will be moving him down, but yeah. So hugely different.
three more tight ends to maybe talk about.
Okay, you can talk about TJ Hawkinson.
Okay, I was going to talk about Blake Jarwin first, but I can talk about TJ Hawkinson first.
Okay, go
on. TJ Hawkinson, he's didn't have much. Matt Stafford played injured a bit. Rookie season, I think. Well, I pray the Lions' offense is going to be a bit more explosive this year, and I think he could be a big part of that. I think he could well be the next Kittle, and like Kels tier sort of player. He has that draft capital. He has that pedigree. Like, he can be that kind of guy, and obviously same draft class. I think they've even same college. Was there Noah Fant?
Also a disappointment.
Yes, but good talent. He was the weaker blocker of the two. That's why he was the lower pick, because we needed some blocking too, because we want to set up the run game. But yeah, Noah Fant could be good this year if Drew Lock actually steps up and is, well, if he's something, then Noah Fant could be something.
Yeah, I just worry because they brought in. There's suddenly a lot of mouths to feed in Denver. They've got Melvin Gordon, they've got Philip Lindsay, they've just picked up Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler in the draft.
As much as I like him as a guy, Philip Lindsay. Sorry, mate, you're not.
He's sidelined. Yeah.
Well, you forget, like, he's undrafted, man. They have no commitment to this guy whatsoever.
No, but he has posted back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. As they said on CBS, they spoke on Fantasy Football today that he hasn't played 100% snaps. He's been on kind of 60% snaps and getting 1,000 yards. Melvin Gordon isn't a full-time workhorse. He does take time off. Philip Lindsay's role might not change that much. Just an interesting point.
Yeah. Well, Melvin Gordon could just be a receiving back with like 15 carries a game, maybe.
And also, Melvin Gordon has never been that efficient anyway. Be interesting to see how he actually does.
Enough running back talk. Back to the tight ends.
Yeah.
Last one, Blake Jarwin. I might have it. It's the tight end I'm probably going to end up with to pair with Dak. Because he's going to be late round or undrafted in most leagues. Dallas is a passing offense, even though they have Zeke. They were for quite a stretch last year. They were quite a passing offense. And I think it's going to expand more. And I think we could, because they kept Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of Kellen Moore. I think they've got a nice receiving core, and I think Blake Jarwin could be a nice piece in that little passing game from the MVP Dak.
And obviously they've gave away a guy that used to be really, really good, Jason Witten. He's vacated with 83 targets. Randall Cobb has vacated with 83 targets. They brought in CD Lamb, the rookie. He's not going to get 166 targets. I'd imagine Amari to get a bump up, Gallup to get a bump up. Let's say CD Lamb gets Randall Cobb's targets. He gets 80. That still gives let's say 60 additional targets to Blake Jarwin on his targets from last season, which were difficult to find. He had 41 targets. Give him 60. That puts him over 100 targets. I could see Blake Jarwin being another late one. He's got a current ADP of 16-10, so basically the 17th round. That's basically free.
Mm-hmm.
And again, since we're talking basically free, Chris Herndon.
Oh yeah, he's free. And Ebron's also kind of there, but I would never draft Ebron.
No, Ebron terrifies me. I was looking at that. So Ebron has commanded a 15.5% market share when he's been on. Vance McDonald's goes for a 13% market share. The Steelers only pass to their tight ends 16% of the time, which means there's going to be a total of 92 targets to go between them, assuming that Roethlisberger's back up throwing nearly 600 passes. With 580 passes, that means there's 92 targets to go between Ebron and Vance. I think Ebron going to the Steelers has actually he's submarined both of them rather than increased his value.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right. Ebron, you can't. He might have the targets, but he's got to catch the targets.
Yeah, which
so that's always been a problem.
Yeah, but you said Chris Herndon going in the 29th round, which is just insane.
It's because he's never really done anything.
He has. He was suspended / injured for most of last season, but the Jets.
The Jets rookie season, or was it?
No, it wasn't. Yeah, his rookie season was the season where he was my tight end when I won the title.
He had a good rookie season.
He had a decent rookie season. Wasn't great, but he was decent when I needed him to be. But they've lost Robbie Anderson. They've got 172 vacated targets in New York. Denzel Mims has come in. Frank Gore has come in. So
he's not much of a. I mean, maybe 2-3 catches a year.
He's going to line up on the outside and be an absolute beast.
Frank Gore, 1,000 this year.
God, I would. Go. That seems like the Adam Gase. Like,
if Adam Gase was like, I'm not going to do anything this season other than try and give Frank Gore some more records, I'd respect it.
That was awful. Don't do that again. That's a hell of a way to hand in your P45, isn't it? Yeah, between Robbie Anderson, 96 targets gone. Demaryius Thomas, 59 targets gone. Ty Montgomery, 17 targets gone. They brought in Brashard Perriman, who takes 65 targets, and Frank Gore, who has 16 targets. That means there's still a net loss of 70 targets left around to be had by Denzel Mims and or Chris Herndon.
Who's your favourite tight end in the last tier of tight ends? They're all awful, but I think my favourite is Jeremy Sprinkle because his name is Jeremy Sprinkle.
It seems as good a reason as any. The
33rd round ADP. You can't go wrong. I honestly, I was listening to a thing where they were talking about the wide receivers in Washington after Terry McLaurin. And I didn't know who they were talking about.
Paul Richardson.
Oh, they're just such nobodies, man. Like they're just like the wide receiver 2, 3, 4 in Washington.
Yeah,
the Washington team.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin, Steven Sims.
The Washington football team.
Steven Sims, Kelvin Harmon, Cody Latimer, Trey Quinn, Cam Sims, Jordan Vesey, David Kidsey, Jester Weyer, Jonathan Johnson, Scotty. Yeah, who the fuck are these people? But they've got Antonio Candy Golden, or Gandhi Golden, whatever his name is. I think he could be something.
Also a good name.
So a good name,
but
not a tight end. Paul Richardson didn't let go. Oh, that's sad. Anyway, to reiterate my very preliminary projections rankings: Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz, Andrews, Waller, Engram, Henry, Hurst, Higbee, Jonnu Smith, Greg Olsen. Jonnu Smith and Greg Olsen, I am very, very sketchy on. They will need adjusting, definitely. And Hurst is also a fairly sketchy one. But turns out projections are very difficult, very long, and have a lot of data in them.
Well, I think the main thing I look at is the ADP versus rank. And the ones that are actually steals are like Jared Cook, Austin Hooper, a bit, Mike Gesicki, Jonnu Smith is a steal, like Blake Jarwin, like I like him in my late rounds tight ends because I mean if you ain't got one of the top three, they're all the same in the hit.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you don't have an elite,
try and play the matchups.
Yeah, basically go up against Arizona. That's what it was last year.
Well, it'll be a different team this year, but it probably
Panthers.
Oh yeah, the Panthers D's looking a bit shaky, isn't it?
Yeah, it is not good.
We
need to we need to wrap this up because this has gone on long and it's going to take some serious editing.
Oh yes, this is going to be our hardest challenge yet.
All right. Craig, thank you so much for joining. Been a pleasure as always. If anyone is still listening, which I doubt, quite frankly. If anyone is still listening, don't forget to subscribe,
and
review.
Email.
Yes, email apsipodcast@gmail.com. Going to start doing some listener questions to see if anyone is listening. That will be the first question. If anyone actually listening, please email in an answer.
If we get some questions, we might do like a competition where you can win some shit that I have.
I want to get rid of out of my room.
Yeah, you want a hat? You want a hat? I've got a lot of hats. Hats and jerseys of teams I don't support. I don't know about jerseys are mostly pretty prized.
Oh yeah, no jerseys. I'm not partying with any of my jerseys because gradually they're all either retiring or leaving the teams. My Andrew Luck jersey, nah. LaShawn McCoy Bills jersey, nah. And Antonio Brown jersey, nah. Jay Ajayi jersey, nah. Brian Urlacher jersey, nah.
Nice. Most of my players are still on their teams except for Darius Slay.
Big Gay Slay.
Oh, and Golden Tate. I have two, and they're both Lions.
Huh. Not any. Well, no, they're not.
Yeah, I also have two Stafford jerseys.
Right. Peace out. Thank you very much. No, doubt it. All right. Peace out. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.